The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight we have a very special guest. She's a wonderful actress, and I'm really excited to. It's the first time that she's on my show, and her name is Eleni Lucas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you.
So you're a Bronx person. I can't believe it.
I am a Bronx person. I was born in the Bronx,
Yeah.
and then my parents ended up moving to Mount Vernon, Westchester. But then years later, when my career started taking off, I wanted to be closer to the city.
Right.
So I ended up going back to Pelham Bay, renting a little apartment, and I would commute on the 6 train back and forth.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
The number 6 train, you would always hear it outside the window. But it was good. I love the Bronx.
Yeah. So have you always been? When did you start acting?
Oh, well, I started modeling. I went to college, I went to Berkeley, and I studied fashion marketing and management.
Right.
And when I was in the fashion school, I was doing a lot of fashion shows.
Right.
And then we started doing things for Macy's, and then I got scouted when I was doing a fashion show for Macy's by Wilhelmina.
Oh.
And I started doing some print work in New York as a model.
Right.
And then I met somebody, and they said, you know what, I can get you to work overseas. I want to send you to Italy. And I said, wow, that's great.
Right.
I'd love to do it. So I packed up everything, and at the time I had a car accident with my mom, so I said, why don't you come with me?
Right.
And we go to Italy. I was booked for so many things, and apparently they wanted more from me if I wanted the job than I was willing to give, and I wasn't willing to sell my soul.
Right.
So I kind of got blacklisted in Italy. And I said to my mother, listen, you haven't been to Greece in 30 years. Let's just go. So when I went to Greece, I met the famous designer there, and he basically took me under his wing.
What was his name?
His name was Michalis Aslanis.
Okay.
He's no longer with us. He had his issues, so he's no longer with us.
Right.
But he took me under his wing, and he says, you know, I want to put you in an agency in Athens. I'm like, cool. And I started doing a lot of print work in Greece and a lot of commercials. And that's where I got that little, I love it, being in front of the camera buzz.
Right.
And so I stayed in Greece for about 1.5 years.
Right.
And then when I came back to New York, I'm like, you know what? I was flipping through Backstage, because then we flipped through Backstage. We didn't have our little apps.
Yeah, I remember.
And I saw an audition for a movie with Isaac Hayes and David Carradine.
Oh my God.
And I said, all right, let me just give it a shot. It's a movie. I'm used to doing commercials.
Right.
Why not? I didn't think I was going to get it.
Right.
And I go audition, and sure enough, I got the movie. I got the part.
Oh my God.
And that was my very first movie that I got. And then I just said, you know, I'm really loving the fact that I can be on set. I love the fact playing different characters. The way they change the sets, you know, you can just be in a winter wonderland, and then let's say you go outside, you open the door, you're in a parking lot.
Right.
And it's just, I just love that.
Right. I love David Carradine. I think he was a great actor.
He was an amazing person. I got a chance to spend a month with him.
Wow.
Him and Isaac Hayes in Tapachula, Mexico.
Right.
So,
I had a friend, I had friends in Hollywood when I lived out there who actually used to camp out on his land in California. They, you know, the people who were like struggling actors, they would actually live on his land. They would put tents up to live.
And he was such a nice person that I
That's
could see him saying, you know, yeah, it's cool, go ahead, do that.
Right. But he was a great actor. And I love watching his reruns now. There's like something called Shane that he did.
Yes.
Where he's young and handsome and vibrant, and, you know, it's amazing. When that's one of the beauties of our industry, you know, acting and all this, is that you are able to capture youth and all this stuff. You know, you could go back, and it's not the same thing as looking through an album of pictures when when you're acting when you're younger and stuff like that. I enjoy that part.
But I was fortunate enough. We took a lot of pictures on set, so I have a lot of memories, you know, of being on set with him, fooling around in his camper. Well, I mean, like fooling around.
I know, I understand.
But I mean, like hanging out in his camper.
What was he like?
He was really sweet. He was very gentle, very soft-spoken. He was just a nice guy. He was just quiet.
Did he have a relationship with Barbara Hershey at all? I think they lived together.
I'm not sure, but I know that when we were in Tapachula, I know his wife was there.
Oh, okay.
So he was married when I met him.
Okay, so he was already older.
Settled down. Yeah, he was much older. So this was in the 90s.
So to speed ahead, I know you brought like a clip with us. You worked on a horror film. I mean, you've worked on a lot of films, but And unfortunately, I didn't give you enough time to get all the things you could have brought. But
That's
you did bring a
okay.
clip. But you know, I enjoyed that clip. Could you tell me a little bit about the horror film that you were in?
The clip that I brought was my husband and I had spent our honeymoon at this hotel in the Catskills many, many years ago.
Right.
And we decided to go back to the hotel just to have, like, you know, another honeymoon.
Right.
And what happens is I end up witnessing a murder.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so it's very suspenseful, and
It seems,
very-
you know, it seems like it's more of like a visual thing than, I mean, there are words, but it's more like a lot of reactions and actions going on
it lets you keep your imagination going. You're wondering what's going on.
Well, but can we share it with the audience?
Absolutely.
And then we can get back to our conversation, because
Okay, that
I think
sounds
that's
good.
going to be even more fun for me anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so let's check it out. What's the name of it?
It's called Horror on the Hudson.
Horror on the Hudson.
Yeah.
Okay, enjoy.
Oh my God, honey, I can't believe we're here after 20 years. Place hasn't changed one bit.
I know, it looks great.
I'm so excited.
I know. Hey, why don't you go and register and I'll take care of the luggage?
Okay.
All right? Mhm.
Hello?
Well, hello to you too. What can I do for you?
My husband and I have reservations under the name of Peterson. We're so excited to be back. It's our 20th year anniversary and we spent our honeymoon here.
Well, good for you. And I got just the room for you. Front desk, is everything okay?
Oh my God, that was scary, man. That was good, but that was good. You really show. I mean, you're a good actress. You're a
Thank
good
you.
actress.
I appreciate the compliment.
So, where did you study acting?
I started a long time ago at HP Studio, but right now I have a phenomenal acting teacher. His name is Bob McAndrew, and I study at the Producer Studio in New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I've been with Bob for a while.
So how big is it? One-on-one, or how does it?
It's 10 people in a class, maybe less, sometimes more.
And what type of? I mean, I only went to one real class, and then I had one coach when I started doing scriptless. But the class I had in Hollywood was like a cold reading class. So basically, you get the script 5 minutes before. You have we had like these bleachers, women on one side, men on the other. You'd get a scene with a woman and a guy, and you'd have to like sit in the middle, and everybody would be watching you, and the teacher would be looking at you, and you'd have to connect and all this stuff. And it was really a good class. So is it scene stuff? I mean, what do you
With
do?
Bob's class, I'm doing a technique. He's got technique classes. We learn different techniques on how to like relax and before you go on an audition.
Right.
And also there's scenes, the scenes that you do with your partner or whatever.
So is it usually dialogue?
Yeah. Yeah, dialogue. So
cool.
it's nice. I enjoy it.
I'll tell you, I enjoyed it a lot. When I had my acting coach that was just working with me, I didn't enjoy it that much, I have to admit, because it was really like, I didn't have dialogue. I mean, he was like more, it was more of, actually I got my monologue there, which was great because I needed a monologue.
Right, right.
But I don't need it anymore, but it was nice to have. I did the Glenn Ross, what's the guy's name? The guy who is playing Trump now on TV.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin.
Yes.
His monologue was the one that I used, and I got several shows as a result of doing it. But you know, the whole thing one-on-one rather than having seen. I think you're right. I think having like a class with other students is a more rewarding experience.
Yeah, because you get to bounce off your energy from one another, and
Right.
it's just.
So how long does the class last?
It's about a 2-hour class,
Right.
but I'm continually studying with Bob because he's just an amazing person. I've had, one-on-one also,
Right.
Which is great. But I kind of like interacting with other students.
How are the other students?
They're great.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're great. You get a scene, you get time to study it, and then you perform it on camera, which is good because you get that experience of having the cameras around you. And he's just a wonderful teacher, and it's just great.
Yeah, I love it. The best time I have in my life, I mean, I love this show, but the best time is when I'm walking that tightrope, when I'm acting. I mean, and when it clicks. The worst time is when it doesn't click.
You
And
get a
then,
head rush.
So what films, could you talk about some of the other films
Sure,
that you
I
worked
just
on?
did a film called 49 Years After The Gifted.
Right.
I play a clairvoyant who's also a psychotherapist.
Wow.
And her first client is a little girl named Annie. And Annie actually sees this little boy in Central Park who has not crossed over to the other side. He's trying to find his mother.
Right.
And through our spiritual clairvoyant powers, we end up having the little boy cross over. So that's called 49 Years After The Gifted.
Is it still in production?
Yeah, it's still in production.
Yeah, when will it
I
be
did
released?
a trailer for that.
Right.
That should be coming out soon.
Yeah.
I think they're going on a lot of film festivals, and she's won many awards.
Yeah.
Her name is Petra.
I love going to film festivals, I'll tell you. There's so much, especially when I'm at one of the films. But I love, it's just, because you're with a bunch of people that are not critical. They're there just to enjoy the moment.
Yeah,
And,
and it was a great film, and she won a lot of. We filmed it in Central Park in like the winter, and it was freezing. I could barely speak. I was like, couldn't move my mouth, but she won a lot of awards. So
I
it was
find
great.
like even when, once I'm acting, I don't feel the cold until after, when they say cut, then all of a sudden I realize how cold
No,
it
you
is.
feel the cold when it's like 0 degrees and you can't move and you're layered like a zombie. You're like I gotta move. How am I gonna move in all these clothes?
So you were in the Brawler too, right?
I was in the Brawler. I was just in background for that. I didn't.
Yeah, I worked on that film. I played Mike Douglas. There used to be a television show called The Mike Douglas Show. So I got an opportunity to interview Muhammad Ali, the person playing Muhammad Ali, and Chuck Wepner. And it was fun. Except that, the interesting part of that show is that I guess my call time was like 6 o'clock at night, and it was in Middletown, New York. And we didn't get to my scene until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
you still
it's
got to
that
be
waiting
fresh.
time.
You got to be fresh, and you have to have the makeup, and it was like high energy. And I was like 62 at the time when it was filming, but it was fun. I mean, it was nothing like it. I love working with Ken Kushner. I've done many films with him, and my father has even worked with Ken Kushner. My dad's 104 years old.
God bless him. That means there's a lot of hope for me.
That's
I've got
it.
a long road ahead of me, right? And a long journey.
He enjoys it. I mean, I think as long as they can wheel you out there, you could do it.
So it's in the blood, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I
To
know.
me, it's. So what other passions do you have?
I have, my passion is to sing. I love singing.
Really?
I'm studying with a vocal coach right now. I've been with him for a while. But I've been singing for a while.
What type of music?
Right now I'd like to do like Natalie Cole.
Oh wow.
The old kind
I
of.
love Natalie Cole.
I like Bette Midler. I love Bette Midler.
Me too.
I love all her songs. So
Yeah,
I'm
she was
pretty
great.
much studying music with her kind of music and Natalie Cole's kind of music, a little bit of everything, a little bit of opera. Right. So, you know, it's a genre of a whole bunch of stuff.
Do you think you'd ever sing professionally, go out there and do it?
You know, if I got a part in a movie and they needed a singer, I think I could pull it off.
That's nice to put to add something to your resume of things you could do in a film and stuff like that. It's
But
very
I would
important.
love to, my dream is to have a one-man show.
Wow.
You know, I think I can go, just find like a small little club in New York, smoky little club, and just sit there and sing.
I've seen, I've gone to, I used to work on a show called Cagney and Lacey, and Tyne Daly was one of the stars of Cagney and Lacey. And I saw her one-woman show in New York about, I don't know, 10 years ago or 12 years ago. And she was amazing. I mean, captivating. I mean, it takes a lot to just sit up there, but it takes confidence and fearlessness. And are you fearless?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I am.
And I guess part of the acting classes that I took made you try to break down the fear and break down those walls.
Yes.
Right.
This is true.
So what kind of exercises do you do to do that?
There's a lot of exercises. There's the vagus breathing.
Okay.
You know, there's the spinal stretch, which you do, jumping around and just screaming.
The only thing I used to do is, I just heard a long time ago that, if you do push-ups or something or you run in place or something.
Jumping,
that'll get it out. So before all auditions until I had tendinitis, but my shoulder's better now. I would do as many push-ups as I possibly can. And then I would just jump into my audition. I haven't auditioned that much. Most of the films that I work on, I get as a result of people that I've worked with in the past.
Right.
Do you still get more parts from auditions, or?
I have people that I've worked with. I just did a couple of movies for Judy San Roman. I did one called The Film Pimps. We just recently shot that. That should be coming out soon.
I think I saw that on IMDb. I was looking at some of the names of the stuff that you worked on. It was interesting.
Yeah, so she called me, and I did The Wrong Path with her.
What was that about, the film?
The Film Pimps, my son Marty is a producer. It's a film within a film.
Right.
And I ended up getting hurt on set, whatever. Oh. And then at the end, I ended up suing my son. But
that's the movie within the movie.
The movie within a Film Pimps. Right. Film Pimps. It's called Film Pimps.
Right.
And then she calls me, if she has a part or
isn't that wonderful
part.
Though?
It's so much easier.
Right. And I appreciate so much. I mean, like Ken calls me. Usually, a lot of times, what happens is, like, even with the Mike Douglas thing, is that someone drops out of the film, and he needs someone like in a few days.
Right.
So it gives me that. I get the script.
That's awesome.
I have to do it like in a couple of days. I mean, I think a week before I did Brawler is when I got the call to do Mike Douglas.
So you were in Brawler.
Yeah. I played Mike Douglas, who was a talk show host.
Our paths didn't cross.
I know. You weren't in Middletown, were you?
No.
They built up a whole set. I mean, they had the entire set of the Mike Douglas show, which was a television show in the 70s, and I was Mike Douglas in the film. It was incredible, actually, and I got to really. I spent a lot of time with Zach McGowan. He was the star.
Okay.
He plays Chuck Wepner in the movie. And I had some time with, I don't know the guy's name, but the guy who played Muhammad Ali. He and I didn't get along too well. But basically I had to keep these guys from beating themselves up on the set. I mean, they were going after each other. It was an interesting scene. And it's a very famous scene where Muhammad Ali basically was telling Chuck Wepner to call him the N-word.
Oh, okay.
Because that would raise the level of, anger and people wanting to see the fight, and Chuck Wepner loved Muhammad Ali. He didn't want to use that word.
Right.
So it was an interesting scene, and it was an honor to work with everyone on the set.
It was a good crew.
It was fun. And then my father also worked on a Ken Kushner film, and he worked with Stephen Baldwin in a movie called what was it called? Of course, I can't remember but it's about it's a movie that starred Stephen Baldwin, and his mother passes away, and my father plays. It's actually going to be at a film festival this weekend, coming up, which is unbelievable.
In the one in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Are you going?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
But
I got invited to go. I'm not sure.
But my father's in that. I'm in the movie too. And I'm trying to think of what the name of it is, but it starred Burt Young.
Burt Young. Oh.
And Tina Louise from Gilligan's Island, and I'm in the movie. I can't remember.
You can't remember? It's okay.
It was filmed in 2014, and I brought my father to the set, and my father, I mean, even Ken says that was like one of the best scenes. He comes over and you know, he's like the older guy and the young guy, and it was interesting. But, and of course, Ken's going to kill me because I can't remember the name.
Wow.
But I love working with Ken because he calls. He appreciates me, and really the first time I met him was when I did that audition with Greg that I told you about earlier, and that was like one of the best auditions I've ever done in my life. And going back even to Hollywood, I mean, it was like, it's like one of the, you know, when you really connect, when you never met a person before, and you're, you know, like, and Ken, of course, a lot of his stuff is improv.
I like improv on a movie.
Me too.
It kind of like, it reduces the pressure somehow of having to memorize that script word for word. You know, when you're improv, it's just like, it comes naturally and easy, organically or whatever.
Right.
And it's just more.
And as long as you stay within the lines of where the story's going.
Right.
I think you could bring out a lot more, and you don't have to worry about the words.
Right.
You're worried about the connection between the two people.
Right.
And that's the most interesting part of acting, or anything, really.
I think a lot of people are going more improv than they are focusing on script.
I'm sure Scorsese.
A lot are going.
Yeah.
I like it like that.
Me too. And that's what Scriptless was all about, actually. That my television show that I did, which I'm planning to do again, was basically coming up with a story and bringing in really good actors, and then just making sure they stay within the lines of the story, and let's see what happens. And we did it for like 3 seasons, and I'm going to bring it back. I'll ask you to be on the show if you want.
If I want, of course I want.
It'd be fun.
I accept your invitation.
It's there. It's there. It would be great. You know, there's always room for someone from the Bronx on the show.
That's right. We got to keep it within the family.
So, do you do any writing or?
I don't do any writing.
Right, directing or anything. Have you ever?
Not yet.
Have you ever wanted to direct?
No, I love being in front of the camera.
Me too.
I don't know. It's just.
You know, I have stage fright. I do, but for cameras, I have like no. I love being in front of a camera. I don't know.
So you understand me?
Yeah. You have stage fright too? Or?
No, a little bit. I had a little bit before I was coming on this show, but I texted my acting teacher and I'm like, give me some advice.
Oh, for me though, this is the easiest thing. This is a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, and you know, the good news is that we could always do another one. You know, it's fun, and it's easy for me, I guess, because I've done it over 200 times. But I try to make it as easy as possible for the guests.
And you have, and I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
It was a pleasure being here.
Well, you're still here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, have you done, so the commercials? Do you like? I mean, I love commercials. I'll tell you, I did 2 Speed Stick Power commercials. I did a Hitachi commercial. I did Audi commercial, and because I was affiliated with specific producers that make these shows, and they call me back all the time.
Right.
I love it. I mean,
I did the commercials in Greece. I would love to do them here in the United States, but I did an Amstel in Greece, in some island called Hydra.
Right.
I did a chocolate bar commercial.
So do you have a manager? Or, I mean,
I don't have a manager.
You have
At the
representation?
moment, I have no management.
And I have nothing either. I mean, JT has helped me
JT.
out. But in terms of getting an actual agent and things like that, the only agent I ever even tried to have was in Hollywood, and he told me to take my shirt off, and I actually did. So, and then I decided, you know what, I don't need an agent, and I wound up getting all my work through a friend who actually was the person who brought me down to Hollywood in the first place.
Right.
But I think I get more jobs and opportunities through people who I've worked with in the past.
And who you know. Like JT, we just mentioned JT. I love him to pieces.
We all love JT.
He actually got me in a Steve Stanley's film. Did background, it was CSI agent.
Oh, that's cool.
It was great, you know, and he's great. He got me on the show. So
Well, this show,
we love
I'm
it.
happy. I'm happy he did. JT has introduced me to so many interesting, wonderful people, including yourself.
Thank you.
And I just want JT to be healthy. That's the most important thing right now.
Healthy and happy.
Yeah,
He's a good soul.
yeah, but it's a tough business. I mean, I got out of Hollywood when I was like 33 years old, and I got out healthy. But it's tough to stay healthy in an environment that's always, you know, the nightlife and all the drinking and this and that.
Wears you down.
Yeah, wears you down.
It wears you down if you constantly do it, you know.
That's why right now I focus more on the acting than the partying and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But also at this stage of the game, I better, or else I'm going to be in trouble. But JT, you know, he's a good soul, like you're saying, and
Very good soul.
but he needs to concentrate more on his health now than anything else.
I think he's doing that.
Yeah, I think so
I
too.
think he's doing that.
That's good. And I want him to continue doing so.
Me too.
Right. So I'm trying to think, where else could we go with this? Do you do anything other than act? Is that your full-time, do you work?
Well, my parents have, they have a hotel in the Catskills.
Right.
I was running that. We've had it since 1971.
Wow.
But then, you know, the years went by, and my dad passed away in 1999, and now
That's sad.
my mother's 86, and her health is failing.
Wow.
So we just decided after so many years,
Right.
it's just time to close it, and then I could pursue my career.
See, that's what I'm struggling with personally as well. I work full time. I have a job that's a pretty good job. I'm like a finance person, but at the same time, the clock is ticking. You know, I'm 64 years old.
You're not old.
No, whether I'm old, whether I am or not. You know, if you look at actuarial tables, you know, I'm old. You know, relatively,
Right.
and. I don't know how much I really need the money or whatever. You know, the whole thing is right now the passion. I just want to be able to continue acting while I still have the wherewithal to do it, and that's it. So I've been thinking about closing up shop too.
Yeah.
You know, in my own little way. You
Well,
know?
we closed up shop, but the good thing is I have a very supportive husband who does work.
Right.
So that kind of eases the pressure of having to go out and
Right.
work. But I was a waitress for so many years.
Right.
Only my feet know how many years.
Right.
You know, I pounded that waitress pavement for a while.
I was a busboy, dishwasher, waiter, and then a bartender for 13 years when I
Wow.
was in Hollywood as well, and acting and all this stuff. And I loved it. You know, I loved working for tips.
I love waitressing. You meet so many people.
And I worked in nightclubs, so it was like in Hollywood. I worked in the best nightclub in Hollywood. It was fun, you know, except that, you know, you can't live that forever.
No, it takes a toll on you
It
after
takes
a while.
a big toll.
Yeah.
But now that I'm married, I got 2 kids, you know, just chilling out, and I have this show, thank God. And I'm gonna resurrect
Scriptless.
Scriptless. I got to.
I'm going to put the pressure on you to do it.
Yeah, and the one I want to do is the Scriptless that I called Candyland, which was basically the story of working in nightclubs in Hollywood and in New York during
Pretty much your life story.
That's it. That's it.
That's like the best story when you write
know.
about your life story.
Right. It's just a matter of getting locations and stuff like that. But, you know, before I do that, there's only really one thing left to say.
What's that?
That's a wrap. Good night, folks.